Hi there. Today I'm making a bit of an impromptu video that hasn't been planned at all. It's something that needs to be discussed though and acknowledged and highlighted. I'll start by rewinding a few days ago when the beginning of the butterfly effect began. And yes, I say the butterfly effect because now while I'm forcing myself to take time to sit down and evaluate what happened and to process it mentally so I can actually form it into some sort of articulate dialogue for this video, the term butterfly effect is what comes to mind and best describes it. So moving on, firstly, for context, we have started lambing, which is fantastic. It's a really exciting time. They're in a paddock closest to our house, but this paddock doesn't have as much natural shelter as a couple of our other paddocks do. It's got a couple of shelters that we've built in there, but not as much shelter as I would normally like, but heaps of feed. So anyway, I'm a bit conscious that the paddock doesn't have as much shelter, and it sort of puts me on edge, to be quite honest, as lambing usually does anyway. So a few days ago, we had to put a kangaroo down. He was a really big male kangaroo. He was stuck in one of our fences. He had a broken leg, so there was no chance of him being saved at all. And the best thing to do was humanely put him down, which is what we did. And we dragged his body away, well away from our paddock where our ewes are, because we didn't want to attract things like foxes into our paddocks where the ewes and the lambs are. And as a little bit of a side note, we do have a culling permit for kangaroos, and we have been allocated tags. So if anyone wants to troll me about killing kangaroos, we do have permission, and go and troll someone else. I don't want to hear it. That's not what this video is about. Then moving forward to 2 nights ago, we did a quick spotlight check of all the ewes, which is a bit unusual for us. We usually leave them alone during the night. But because I feel like I have noticed a little bit of fox activity recently, we've heard them during the night making their noises that they do, but kilometres away. But we do know they are there. So we thought we'd take the opportunity and just sweep the dead kangaroo with a spotlight. And lo and behold, we saw 2 foxes playing tug-of-war with this dead kangaroo. We managed to shoot the one kangaroo. The fox had a bit of a head start and tried to run off, evidently into the ewe paddock, but was promptly shot there. That fox body, in hindsight, we should have moved it further away, because what it then attracted was just as bad or worse than a fox. What could be worse than a fox predator in a ewe and a lamb paddock? What predator have I stupidly underestimated its threat and managed to attract it right into my lambing paddock by leaving the fox body there? In hindsight, we should have moved this fox body away, and I don't know why we didn't see the urgency in doing that. And that question brings me forward to this morning. This morning, as I did my usual lamb head count, so far this season we've had 6 lambs born, and this morning I couldn't count 6. I could only count 5. No worries, it's probably hiding behind some rush or under one of the shelters or whatever. And I thought I'll go down and feed them some lucerne and see how everyone's going and see if I can count the 6th lamb. And that's when I noticed one lamb that was born yesterday was gone. I counted and recounted and searched the paddock until finally my husband found a little boy lamb, and he was lifeless, still floppy, not overly cold considering we had a frosty morning, but he was definitely dead, but for not very long. A perfect little lamb that looked as though I could still revive it. It looked like it was just sleeping, honestly. We flipped it over, and please be aware that I'm going to show you some photos of this lamb. In the photos I do show the injury points and there will be blood. So if you're squeamish, don't look. So there was about a 1 centimetre cut on its neck and looked as though it had bled out of possibly its jugular vein. It was just really unlucky it got a cut right there. The cut was only tiny, but it was enough for it to bleed out from that point. The blood was still bright red, as you can see in the photos. Whatever happened, from what I could gather, it had just happened shortly before we got there. Another small cut you can see behind its ear, another small puncture mark on its neck. It wasn't another fox, because I feel like the fox would have taken the lamb away with it. We don't have barbed wire fencing and nothing in the paddock to cut a lamb like this. And then it came to me, forgotten in the back of my mind, early this morning when I looked down there and I was doing my lamb count. I spotted 2 wedge-tail eagles picking at the dead fox. I even looked in my scope at them eating it. Ultimately, a cruel twist of fate. By killing the fox to reduce predator numbers, I've in turn attracted another predator, the wedge-tail eagle. I believe while I'm trying to process the puzzle that the mum ewe probably chased off the eagles and they moved onto the fox instead. That's probably why the lamb wasn't taken. The Wiltipoll sheep are protective to some degree of their lambs, and I think that's possibly what's happened. Maybe you can write in the comments if you've got a different theory. Some people will blame me now that I shouldn't have killed the fox or even the kangaroo all those days earlier, and it's an eye for an eye situation. And I beg those people to unfollow me if that's what they're doing, if that's what they honestly think. Some people will even target me and tell me that I'm a hypocrite for mourning a lamb when we would have eaten it anyway. But to me, any dead stock still impacts me, whether it's butchered by us or killed prematurely for whatever reason. I mourn the old ewes that have been with us for several seasons and are no longer sound, and we dispatch them. I mourn a lamb like today that was barely 24 hours old. I mourn a chicken taken by a fox or even a rooster that we've had to dispatch because it's far too aggressive to breed from or be around. It's not something that I cry about anymore, but I can feel it for the rest of the day, and I think about each of those animals that have passed every season. I don't forget them. I will say the animals on this farm are nurtured and raised with the best life possible that we can give them. And if there are suffering animals from illness or they've been attacked by predators, etc., it's a gut punch, I'll be honest. To me, my sheep aren't stupid sheep that look all the same. They are individuals with individual personalities. There are friendly, optimistic ones that always assume I have food and seek me out in the paddock. There are bullies among them. There are athletes that still, as older ewes, run up and down the dam walls for fun. There are lazy bones that do more sleeping than others. There are good mothers that do more than their fair share of babysitting other ewes' lambs. And yes, I even name some of them. People say not to, but I do name some ewes. And we name our rams as well. I guess what I'm trying to say is I do care. And like today, each time the ewe calls out for her dead lamb, I feel it. I feel sorry for her. I don't think of the meat lost or the dollars lost. I am compassionate, as a lot of farmers are. Farmers are quite often labelled as the opposite, but most are compassionate and genuinely care for their animals' welfare. Moving forward, it's hard to make sense of how the universe works, and for now, all I can do is monitor the ewe that lost her lamb and make sure she doesn't get mastitis. I don't have any orphan lambs to give her, and in a way that's absolutely a blessing in itself, and I'm grateful for not having any orphans just yet. The eagles are happy with their fox breakfast. I can still find joy in seeing them flying around. And just for the record, I will never shoot them, if you're wondering. Even though they are a threat to the lambs, I can still see beauty in them, and I am grateful that we have a family of wedge-tailed eagles on our property or nearby. And finally, the dead lamb will be buried in my garden, and its body will not go to waste as it fertilizes the plants that grow around it. It's just the reality of farming. And that's why the old farmers tell us that if you have livestock, you'll have dead stock. It's not a cruel, heartless thing to say, but it's a realistic fact of farming. Whether you're a large commercial enterprise or a small-scale hobby farmer like me. And on that sobering note, I thank you sincerely for sticking around to the end of this video. And I ask you now, if you're interested in hopefully more positive or even exciting hobby farming videos, please subscribe to my very new channel called Grow, Gather, Raise, where I explore its successes and equally its fails.